Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm no longer scrambling. I do have a plan in place. I'm out trying to fix my tractor tire today. As you saw in a previous episode, I was way back in the bush. I broke the valve stem off on that rear tire of my tractor, and that ended up causing the rim guard, or the beet juice, at least some of it, to start leaking out all over the ground. I've never had any experience with having to deal with a filled tire. One of my front tires on my tractor has had some issues before. I had a slow leak. My tires were old. That was the reason it was leaking around the rim. I replaced that tire, but in order to get that tire replaced, I just took those small front tires off, took it to a tire shop. They put a brand new tire on, and away I went. When it's filled with rim guard, filled with liquid, time is sort of ticking as soon as something happens. And because I haven't had experience with it before, I didn't really know what to expect, and I didn't really know what to do. I knew I had to plug the ballast, keep it in the tire as much as I could, and I knew I didn't want to leave the tractor stranded out in the woods. That's my biggest fear. If I get that tractor stranded to the point I can't drive it back here, I have no way for anyone to get out to it because the access is so limited. You can't drive a car there. And so the trouble is I got to get it back here. And so that's why I was scrambling just to get that hole plugged. Luckily for me, despite all the snow all over all of my stuff, I found an old rag out there. Used a nail, jammed it up into the broken piece of the valve, air valve, and that kept it at least contained so that I could drive back here. Now I've got the tractor just out here behind me. We're gonna head over there in a minute. It is up on jack stands. I used a car jack, jacked it up, put jack stands under it just to get the weight off the tire. I put the valve at the very top so that hopefully if my little quick fix, my, what was that, a little rag that I jammed in the hole leaks, it doesn't leak any further down than the very top most part of the rim. Anyways, I did a bunch of calling around trying to figure out what the solution was going to be. My hope was I didn't have to take the wheel off the tire, tire off the wheel, and I didn't have to take the whole unit off the tractor. It is extremely heavy, meaning I'd have to drain the liquid in order to take that wheel and tire off the tractor. Didn't want to do that, and so I called around thinking I could find a solution. The tire shops basically said to me, we don't have a quick fix. The quick fix is basically two things. You get the tire to us, we drain the liquid, we put a new valve stem in, but we have to break the bead, meaning take the tire off the rim to do so. Then you'll have to refill the tire with the beet juice. Didn't want to go that route. They said, well, the alternative is you can get one of those portable units out, a repair truck out that fixes tires. They said that's going to be very expensive. They're going to basically take the wheel off the tractor anyways. They may lay it down. They may break the bead on its side, put the valve stem in. You won't lose all of the fluid. But once again, that's quite the episode, quite the cost. And so I thought, well, there's got to be something else. Someone out there with the tractor, brush hogging, clearing snow, work in the woods. You must break valve stems off. What do? Presumably, you don't just let all the air come out and drive home on the rim. So you must have something you jam in there to stop the air. I looked around, tire shops didn't have any answer. And so I looked online. Here's what I came up with. And you can laugh. I hope I don't laugh. I hope this works. I came up with one of these things. This is what I found. It's an emergency tire valve repair. So essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to take the old valve out, and then I'm going to put this one in. It pushes in from the outside. My main concern, though, is I don't know if this tractor has tubed tires in which the beet juice was put inside the tube, inside the tire, or whether they're tubeless. I just looked at the sidewall. The sidewall says tubeless/tube type. I don't know what that means. I'm hoping they're tubeless. If I go to take the old valve out and I can't push it in all the way because there's a tube, my concern is now with that broken valve stem inside the tire, it's going to now leak all that beet juice inside the tire. And if there's any hole at all in that tire, well, we're not going down that road. So this is what I'm going to put in. I've never seen this in person before, let alone used it. And so the whole idea, you can see there, you push it in. As you tighten that nut on the top, it's going to pull up that brass piece of the bottom. It's going to cause that rubber grommet, we'll call it, to expand, and that'll seal off the hole. At least that's the hope. So if this works, and this was about $30 Canadian. If this works, I'm going to buy one of these, maybe two, and I'm going to keep it in my tractor at all times because inevitably this will happen again. And for those of you wondering, on the front of my tractor, I actually have little guards around the valve stems, but on the back, because the valve stems are on the inside of the rim, there's no guard. This was one of those times where a guard might have been handy. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking. We're going to go over there. Fingers are crossed this is going to work. You'll see either way. And for those of you with experience with these, you may already know if this is going to work or not. Let's hope for the best. Here we go. All right, here we are at the back of the tractor. If you're wondering how things went downhill, this is the culprit. It's currently wired up just so it doesn't swing over there. This stabilizer arm normally mounts right here. Well, this pin, which has a cotter pin as well to retain it, it actually came out. I don't know when it came out, but as soon as that came out, that allowed this to swing over, and then it hit the valve stem. Now the valve stem is way up in here, and I actually felt inside of it thinking that maybe there's still threads, because inside that valve stem, it's actually two pieces. There's a little piece that threads in, and I was hoping the threads were still there and I could just replace the inside piece. Well, that's not the case. If you look at the other side, there's the other one. You see how long the base is? You see the nut and then the longer piece? Well, I was hoping that longer piece was still intact, and then the lower piece, which threads into it, could just be replaced. But look at the difference in length. Okay. So it obviously sheared off right where the threaded piece was, so that plan was out. Anyways, it's going to be hard to see here because I want to leave that at the top, the valve hole at the top there, so we don't lose any more fluid. So I'm going to pull that rag out in a minute. I'll throw a wrench on there or a socket, and I'm hoping once again that these tires don't have a tube in them. It's completely bent. Gosh. Come on now. Gotcha. Okay, good news. They're tubeless. There's no inner tube in there. Here's the piece I just bought. They say 5 minutes or less. (9/16" wrench or socket. Don't want to overdo it. Wow, that sure looks like it's going to do exactly as it advertises, which is great. You can see there that rubber piece has sealed off the hole completely. Basically, that's a 9/16" socket, and it goes snug, and no tighter than that. Just some other things on this. Installs in less than 5 minutes. This model is the bigger one, or one of the bigger ones. It fits all. 0.625/5/8 inch valve holes. Tractors, backhoes, skid steers, hay balers. Yeah. Everything they said on here, if I'm not mistaken, I swear it said 200 pounds of air pressure it could take. I'd have to double check that, but I thought I read that. Anyways, I just bought this off Amazon. I'm no affiliation with them, although after getting this put in there, I certainly wouldn't mind having a few extra one of these. I'm going to keep some in my tractor. Inevitably, I will hit a valve stem again. It just so happens it took me like 6 or 7 years with this machine in order to do it. Of course, at the worst possible time, but once again, there it is. And then underneath the cap here, obviously you can put air in. Now, the only thing I will say about this, we'll put that back on there. The only thing I will say about this, that is different than the one that came with the tractor. Very difficult to see, but have a look up here. This particular valve stem is what allows you to put liquid in the tire. That would have been why they put that in here. This one over here is not the same, so I'm not going to be able to put liquid into this tire, although thankfully I don't think I lost too much, so I probably won't have to put much in. But I won't be able to use the same style of setup that they would have used initially to put the liquid in here. So I'll have to figure out what that looks like. If anyone has any experience with that type of valve and you can put liquid through that, I don't know, can you unscrew the internals in order to get liquid in there? I don't know. But if you have experience with that, put it down below in the comments. And if you have experience with any of these emergency valves or some other sort of valve like this where you put the valve in from the outside instead of breaking the bead and putting it on the inside, please let me know. Long-term experience, I'm also interested in knowing, do I have to watch this thing, or is that going to be a one and done and I can get back to work? I'm not too sure. I'll be sure to update everyone. As always, make sure you prepare for the worst and hope for the best, because I was sort of left scrambling here because I didn't have something like this. I won't do that again. If you like this video, don't forget to give it the old like or subscribe. As always, I do appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you next time.